Welcome to your new moon collective womb reading. I will be pulling cards for several different topics. One includes energies around the new moon. Another reading will be around ancestral questions, ancestral healing. And then the third set of questions will be focused on full moon, or excuse me, not full moon, but earth energies and using the MotherPeace deck. I will have the questions that I ask for each of the energies, the full moon, the new moon energies, the ancestral energies, and then the earth energies. I will have those questions that you can download, and if you have your own tarot decks that are oracle cards that you would like to use, you can pull your own cards as we're doing this one, and just follow along before or after my reading. Again, this is a collective womb reading, so with that being said, I invite you to take what resonates with you and leave the rest. What do we need to focus on the next lunar cycle? How can I be in alignment with my intentions? What will guide me to the fulfillment of my desires? So what do we need to focus on for during this next lunar cycle? So starting from this new moon up until the next new moon. The card that was pulled is the Judgment card. So the Judgment card is really about self-reflection and looking at ourselves and being honest with ourselves, and not in a way that's self-deprecating, but in an empowering way. That's really where the shadow work comes in, right? Knowing all aspects of ourselves, knowing our strengths and our weaknesses, and moving from that space of what's going to work for you and allowing those things to kind of be in harmony with ourselves, with yourself. So yeah, the Judgment card is asking you to, over this next cycle, to obviously maybe journal more. If you haven't started working with a therapist, this might be a time to find one and start that process of looking for one. I do know that sometimes shopping around for a therapist is, can be a process in finding someone that's going to work for you. If it's not a therapist, or even like a community healer that can support you, some type of like wellness coach or something that could support you with just that self-reflection aspect, that's going to help you with asking yourself the questions of like, why am I operating in this way? Well, does this serve me? If this doesn't serve me, what narratives am I telling myself that keep me in this cycle of, doing the things that don't, making this decision, like what's behind it? What's the, the self-talk, the belief system that's keeping me in that cycle of, whatever that is for you. So maybe that's this is the time for you to kind of journal any roles that you play within your family structure, your friendship at work that aren't serving you anymore. This could be a time to reflect on how you show up for yourself, outside of those roles. So when you are completely by yourself, how are you spending intentional time with yourself to really get to know yourself as well? So how can you be more in alignment with those intentions? The card that I pulled was the Six of Cups, inner child work. Yes. And you see there are like two children playing together in the meadows with the cups. And I think in the last card, the Judgment card, when we were saying sitting with yourself, when you're all by yourself, how are you treating yourself? That could be, how are you parenting yourself? How are you nurturing yourself, your inner child? What were the things that used to bring you joy? if there is any like painful thoughts or painful things, memories that come up when around the childhood, you know, nurturing those feelings, nurturing those hard emotions that came up, just really showing up for yourself the way that a parent should have, or you know, the divine mother, divine father would show up for you, you know, with compassion, with understanding, with a listening ear, you know, an open heart. That's the time, over this next new moon cycle, this will be a great time to start to focus on that inner child's work and that inner child's play. The third question is, what will guide me to fulfill my heart's deepest desires? And the card that came up was the Six of Pentacles. Are your desires your own desires, or are they the desires of the people around you? Six of Pentacles wants you to reflect on if your relationships if you're pouring into your relationships and receiving the same amount that you're pouring into. You know, is there reciprocity? Where is the reciprocity in your life? And is these relationships in alignment with your personal desires and your personal values especially? So yeah, Six of Pentacles, that's how you're going to get to your fulfillment, your desires, is by just taking note of the relationships in your life again. So yeah, a lot of these cards I'm feeling a lot of like relationship heavy work when it comes to the internal work, right? Like, yeah, just being honest about the reciprocity. And sometimes it's us needing to put more energy into relationships and in the folks around us. You know, I do think that sometimes the trauma response is to like, oh, I'm just going to work on me and not focus on these relationships, or not put the time and energy into those relationships because of like how I was treated in the past by someone, or because they weren't exactly who I wanted them to be. You know, when we start to integrate our shadow and our light, we will find that we're not as judgmental and not as judgmental, and not as like, we don't take it as personally when we see other people acting in their shadows. And, you know, we don't put people on a pedestal when they're acting in their light as much, to the point where we forget the shadow. But there is this like balance of like, you know, seeing people for who they are, loving and accepting who they are, and then sitting with yourself about what boundaries that you need to keep yourself safe and protected and loved and nurtured, while without feeling, you know, like you need to shame the other person or completely, you know, disassociate from all people. Because at the end of the day, everyone's got their shadow and light. You know, everyone has things that they're going to be working on, and everyone has like their, you know, their light side, you know, that we want to see, that we have to be able to see as well. And doing it in a way that is healthy for us, and that starts with, you know, healthy boundaries. So yes, that is our new moon reading, and we will go into what does the ancestors have to say for us during this lunar cycle. So for the ancestral energies of this reading tonight, I'm going to first pull from the Oracle deck, Secret of the Ancestors, Ancestral Book, Oracle Guide. Secrets of the Ancestors, Oracle Guide. And the question that we want to know is like, what gifts, what ancestral gifts are available to us right now during this lunar cycle? We have number 20, the Huntress, Soul Awakening. So for oracles, I like to just read directly from the book. So cycles are ending so that you can be renewed. You are moving towards a new era and looking back at the lessons learned. This may be a lesson where you are analyzing your life, like the judgment said earlier. Okay? Signs and answers are being shown to you, but you must be willing to see them. So the ancestral medicine is revelations are unfolding. This is a period of personal reckoning, pregnant with the opportunity for renewal and rebirth. Wonderful. Oh yeah, that's funny. It says tarot correspondent is the judgment. So we write in alignment, okay? I lovingly, here's the declaration. I lovingly release the past and make way for the future. So the ancestral wisdom and the ancestral medicine of this time is this energy of like releasing and letting go, which definitely is the energy of the full moon. So during our full moon energy, we can banish things, but also in the new moon when we're setting intentions, there is the ask to like clear the way as well, you know, and the clearing and removing comes after acceptance. You know, you have to accept all versions of yourself. You have to accept the past and knowing of what it created for you in this moment, so you can let go of the emotional charge behind it, the guilt, the pain, you know, and just let it be. You know, it's almost like being at peace for what is, you know. For the next 2 questions, I will be using the Hoodoo Tarot cards. And I want to call in the grandmothers into the space, our grandmother ancestors, and ask what doors are being opened for us to grow spiritually. As we begin to integrate the past and release what no longer serves us. How do we do that in a way that spiritually makes sense for us? We have the 3 of Knives. Ah, there we go, 3 of Knives. So, in the 3 of Knives, in this image, we see there's a person sitting underneath a tree with 3 knives in their chest. And then there's a dog peeing on a tombstone. So it's, you know, not looking too good. Very like, you know, betrayal. I'm seeing betrayal of someone, you know, when you're being stabbed. And then also like it's just straight up disrespect, being a dog peeing on somebody's tombstone. And then I'm also seeing the tree in which the person who is laying underneath the tree, there are bottles in there. And in Gullah Geechee culture, the bottles, they have these bottle trees. And it's thought that, and the intention and the spirituality behind the bottles in the tree is that it's collecting the spirits of folks, especially negative spirits, negative, anything, yeah, any negative energies. And with it, the sun is beaming down on the bottles to destroy whatever no longer serves, whatever no longer, all the negative energy brings, you know, shedding light on it so that it, you know, dissipates. And so the grandmothers are asking that there's some feelings of rejection, painful, maybe like a painful breakup, maybe, yeah, I'm just really hearing like a lot of rejection and just like old wounds, especially in relationships to being hurt, betrayed in the past. That is the medicine, or that is the, that's what your grandmothers really wanted you to focus on, like really releasing and letting go of old, of people who may have betrayed you or done you wrong in the past that you're still like, you know, really holding on to, really feeling the pain of. Definitely, you don't have to necessarily forgive these people straight up. Like, you don't have to even tell them that you've forgiven them. But in yourself, like for yourself, you do need to let go and release. Release that pain of those relationships for sure. Okay, we're now going to ask the ancestors what steps or resources are needed in order to, you know, move through this pain of like rejection, do the self-work. You know, what resources do we have available to us for that? So the card that was pulled is Gullah Jack. And what Gullah Jack is here to remind us or to tell us is, well, when it comes to relationships and when it comes to, you know, our interpersonal relationships with other people, it always takes 2 to tango. So I mean, in some of these feelings of betrayal and heartbreak, we had a part to play in it. You know, we're not completely the victims in our relationships and in our situations. And so Gullah Jack is saying that even though right now you might feel like the resources are lacking on like moving past, trying to like rush through this process of like integrating, of releasing and letting go, it's not going to be as quickly as you may want it to be. This might actually, like I said, we're talking about the whole month, the whole lunar cycle, but it might, for some of us, might take a little longer than that if we try to prematurely, you know, with haste, trying to heal, you know, very hastily is not the answer right now. Gullah Jack wants us to find the medicine in being still and being at peace, and yeah, being still, whether it's through meditation, you know, sitting in the discomfort for a little while. And that is part of healing. You know, we think of healing as like, oh, I just feel good instantly. You know, I accepted it, I'm moving on. Sometimes, you know, sitting in it in a very intentional way. Sometimes people were sitting in it and then we're allowing those feelings to work subconsciously in our lives, you know, and start to subconsciously run how we operate. What Gullah Jack is asking us to do is to sit with it intentionally, like, wow, like sometimes saying it out loud. You know, I could say, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I am feeling hurt. Celeste is, and even maybe even saying your own name, like Celeste is feeling betrayed. Celeste is feeling hurt. Celeste is feeling guilty. And like naming the emotion that you're saying, naming it out loud, and just sitting with that guilt, sitting with the betrayal, you know, writing it out, you know, saying it out loud, that type of like sitting with it. It's one thing to like let it, you know, take, you know, and what it's doing is it's putting that motion into the passenger seat and you are in the driver's seat, instead of letting the guilt, the betrayal, the bitterness drive the car. You can have it with you. You know, they might have some bags, you know. They could be in the they could be in the passenger seat with you, but you're in the driver's seat to like sit with those emotions like that. You know, like we said, when the Six of Cups, being the steady sailor, the steady driver of your life, you know, and saying, hey, I see you bitterness, I see you betrayal, I see you upset, I see you disappointment. You're safe here. You're safe to be here with me. And that's really what Gullah Jack wants us to do, you know. Sometimes it is, you know, sometimes if we feel like we are lacking the resources to heal, we're lacking the pretty, you know, the pretty things that make us, you know, that social media and capitalism tries to sell us as a form of like healing. Like, oh, you need your crystals. Oh, you need your, you know, you need your fancy pens and, you know, things, or you need to be able to always afford to go see, you know, all these, you know, people. And yes, if you can, if you do have those resources, to seek the help and to seek the help of other healers, you know, or even if there's, I'm also hearing that if there is someone that you want to bring into the process, working with them to find creative ways to, you know, pay them back, or to, you know, again, with this, what was it? Six of Pentacles. I think it's funny. Yeah. Six of Pentacles, about that reciprocity in relationship. You know, reciprocity doesn't always necessarily have to be money, physical money, even though we're in a capitalistic world, that does work. But there are other ways in which, like, if you find someone in your community that you feel like can usher you through the process of healing, there's other ways that you could show up for them as a gratitude for their work and their labor, whether it's, you know, a donation, you know, a gift, a meal, you know, being creative about the resources for that can support you in your healing. And honestly, Mother Earth is free. Walking outside, just sitting in nature, witnessing nature, being nature can be very healing when you're using it in an intentional, reflective way. You know, sitting by the river and, you know, bringing those emotions with you to the river, listening to the sounds of the river, holding space for the grief and things, and maybe, you know, feeling using the sound energy of the river to help to like heal your body and to, you know, move energy in the body. You know, there are so many ways that you can you can find healing and, you know, allow those creative ways of, in creative or resourceful ways, find their way into your life so that you can get the support that you need. But it's not, but the biggest thing Gullah Jack also wants to say is just don't feel like it needs to be quickly or done in a, you know, fast. This is a time to like really sit in it and really allow yourself to move through it. Because even the Three of Knives can also mean a little bit of depression. This might feel like a time of like a depressive time for you as well. And sometimes having feelings of depression and anxiety and things, they are not who you are, but they are just part of the experience. And when we sit with them wholeheartedly is how we move through it. Find your, yeah, there's a lot of patience right now is going to be needed on this journey, and you deserve that patience. You deserve to give yourself the patience to move through what you need to move through. And finally, I'm going to pull out my MotherPeace cards. Hello. And we're going to tap into some earth wisdom here. Like I said, Mother Earth is, no matter what capitalism tries to tell you, Mother Earth is free. I know they're trying to rip us away from our source in so many ways. But Mother Earth, there is nothing too heavy that Mother Earth cannot hold. So we're going to tap into her energies and ask what is needed. So I am technically facing, it's like south, I'm like right there, southeast. So which cards can I pull? We're still going, yeah, so we'll start with the south though. That's what I'm feeling. So let's see, what does the south, what messages does the south have to give us today? You have the Strength card, and if you see the Strength card, it's a person literally out in nature, communing with nature, communing with the ancestor, yes, our animal ancestors. And she's also holding the light. She is also holding a light in her hand. The South wants to remind you of your light. I know a lot of times for me when I am feeling depressed and down, I know for me that is a reflection of needing to be filled internally with a sense of sensuality. Sometimes, yeah, I do. Yeah, I notice for me personally, and if this resonates with you, it resonates. If it doesn't, leave it. But my depression is also correlated to my lack of like sexual feelings and lack of like sensuality in my life, or low libido. And yeah, I'm also probably seeing this because the woman is in the nude, a very, you know, very, which it can be very sensual, sexual way of being. And it also can just be, and just be it, and just be it, like just being naked, you know. Adrienne Marie Brown, I'm reading her book, Pleasure Politics, I believe. I'll note it below. And you know, she was saying that like when we're in times like these where they're ripping everything away, like through capitalism and through, you know, all these structures that we use, all these false structures that we thought were holding us together and holding us up, that did not have solid, that were not rooted in anything good or solid. Once those are all ripped away, we are just that. We are just naked, right? And that's when we find the sensual and the sexual as our basic need of being human, of being ourselves. And that's what the South wants to remind us, is during this time of uncomfort, discomfort, you know, sitting in the, you know, discomfort of it all, you can still You can still have an orgasm, girl. You can still downstairs DJ it. You can still find different ways to find pleasure, whether it's in a sexual sense or whether it's in you know, in just something that, like, with your child, like we said earlier, with, you know, finding what brings you joy, finding what brings you joy. So when we're moving through the shadow of it all, the depression and anxiety and the hurt feelings of it all, remember that you still have access to your pleasure, is what the South is reminding you. And that's like the earth is always here, your body is always here for you. And you can find pleasure in your body. You deserve, and pleasure in your body is your birthright, especially when we're going through the discomfort of moving and healing. Pleasure is still there. And that's that, and honestly, at the very beginning of the reading, what did we say? Like, shadow and light, like all of us have both the shadow and the light in things. I feel like this is what, this, again, she's holding the light. So even when you're going through the shadow, even when you're going through the darkness, you still have light there, and it's still accessible to you. And it can be found in very sensual and sexual ways if you allow it. Okay, let's move to the West. What does the West want to tell us? The West. Okay, we have the Emperor card, but when I pulled it, it was actually in reverse. So the Emperor card is definitely masculine energy. There's definitely going to be a rejection and a removal of your ego during the West. That's what's dying right now. Let your ego die right now. Because the West is all about death. The West is all about, yeah, dying, letting go, ancestral realm. It's also about the heart space. And if we're moving with our ego, we're not tapped into our heart space. So let your ego die during this time. If you need to apologize to someone else, if part of your healing work is not only, you know, we talk about accepting apologies and things, but your healing work might also mean apologizing to someone that needs it. Let your ego done. Let your ego go and apologize to that person. And even if they don't let you back in your life again, even if they don't want to see your light, even after you apologize, that's okay. Because that's not the point. The point is just it is a practice of releasing and surrendering your ego. Because the light wants us to be vulnerable. And the Emperor is not a vulnerable person. He wants to always be right. He wants to always want to feel like one-upped. And sometimes vulnerability is like, it's going to take you down, like, girl. Take you down a peg, like, humble you a bit. And remove your ego and let yourself be humbled. Apologize. Apologize right now. I'm playing. Whenever you need to do it, whenever it feels right, apologize. It might be over this lunar cycle. It might be in a little while, but that's what needs to happen. All right, North. Energies in the North. What you say, girl? What you say? Oh, we have the Shaman of Swords. Let the universe speak through you. Let the universe speak through you. Part of that surrendering of the ego, when we let go of our ego, and we surrender to what is in the great light source within us and around us, as above, so below, we will find that our words can heal ourselves and others. So let the universe use you. The two cards kind of popped out, and this is for the East, so let's just go ahead and play with both of them a little bit. We got the Lover's card And then we also have the Four of Cups. Four of Cups is also, oh, I don't think I showed you the Lovers. Lovers card. Four of Cups. East is all about that new beginning, that rebirth, which is what we started off in the energy of with this new moon, and with this reading in general. And I feel like there's going to be a new sense of love. And I feel like because I have the Lovers card, but also because the Four of Cups came out with it, it's going to be definitely a new sense of love that's going to be very foundational for you. The love could be platonic for some of us. The love could be self-love for all of us. At the end of the day, it's definitely self-love is going to be there. It's at the top of the list. But I'm feeling a very platonic type of love for sure. Coming. And the Four of Cups again is also about surrendering and moving with those energies as well. Yeah. I got a really great piece of advice that's coming up for me when it comes to platonic friendships, especially between really any friendships, but the person who I received this message from specifically works with Black women in friendships. And she was saying that, like, you know, your friends don't have to make the same decisions as you do. Let me tell you, blew my mind. It blew my mind when I heard that a while back. And I'm not even going to front like it was like years ago. It really wasn't that long ago. But it said, yeah, your friends don't have to make the same decisions as you. And when you make friends from that space of loving yourself unconditionally, loving them through through their light and their shadow, and letting them make their own decisions so that you can lovingly make your own decisions. You guys just hold space for exactly who you guys are for each other. That's where that surrender, that's where that love comes from. So, that was your collective womb reading. If you liked any of the questions that I asked, I will have them for you to read over and pull your own cards too. And if this, don't forget to pay Black women, as my friend, Lady Speech, and teacher, Lady Speech, has said, pay Black women for their labor. And so, yeah, you can always donate at Buy Me a Coffee, at my Buy Me a Coffee, which will be linked below.